Hello, and welcome to the Public Speaking Essentials and Young Professionals Bootcamp. This transformative session is brought to you by Molif Media School, and we are committed to helping you amplify your voice for powerful public speaking. We're very excited to have you here tonight. As we prepare to begin, we encourage you to get fully ready for this experience. Find a quiet and conducive environment free from distractions. Have your notepad and pen ready because we're about to experience something unusual. Today's session is designed to help you unlock one of the most powerful tools you will ever have: your voice, your presence, your courage, everything that gives you the vibe to impact wherever you find yourself. Many people have great ideas, many have dreams, insights, and solutions, but only a few are able to communicate them clearly, confidently, and effectively. And that's what makes the difference. So, whether you're a student preparing for presentations, a young professional getting ready for interviews, or someone who simply wants to find and refine their voice, this session is for you. At Molif Media School, we believe that your voice is not just a tool, it is your access to opportunities. And when you learn how to use it well, you don't just speak, you influence, you lead, and you stand out. So, as we begin shortly, we want you to stay present, stay open, get ready to unlearn, learn, and relearn. Yes, get ready. And of course, participate actively, take notes. Then, subsequently, you'll find yourself making massive progress in public speaking. By the end of this session, you will not just have listened, you will have taken a step. You will have taken a step towards becoming a more confident, powerful, and effective speaker. Once again, welcome to the Public Speaking Essentials for Students and Young Professionals Bootcamp by Molif Media School. Let's begin. So get to the comment section and let us know your name. Yes, just introduce yourself and how you feel being here tonight. I feel good. Welcome on board. My name is Dr. Ifi Arono, the lead coach here at Molif Media School. Hello.
Dr. Ifi Aronu is an exceptional Nigerian broadcaster, voiceover artist, events anchor, and public speaking guide. She is the first ever first-class honors graduate of mass communication from the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State, Nigeria. Ifi served as a senior special assistant on broadcasting to the governor of Anambra State, represented Nigerian youths at the 2024 Doha Forum, Qatar. She was named Nigeria's champion of the UN Summit of the Future in 2024, underscoring her commitment to youth development and values reorientation. Ifi is the lead coach of Molif Media School, a purpose-driven training hub nurturing ethical, confident, and globally relevant young leaders through intentional and progressive communication skills development. She is also a Phoenix and creative writing tutor. As a personal development enthusiast, Ifi has built a reputation for optimizing the potentials of children, youths, and women across Nigeria. She convenes the annual Molif International Women's Day event in Awka, Anambra State. As a professional event anchor, she has navigated the flow of activities at over 100 high-profile events across Nigeria. She is recognized as a leading voice in the Nigeria media and a recipient of the 2026 Anambra Female Achiever Award by the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists. Introducing the lead coach of Molif Media School, Dr. Ifi Aronu.
Okay, so here we are. Thank you so much for coming on board. I just need to be sure that we have joined on this link. Please, if you're here and you can hear me loud and clear, please write in the comments letting me know that you can hear me. I just need to know that I am loud enough. Welcome, welcome. The link we shared earlier, a lot of people joined. It's so sad that for some reason that live stream I couldn't even get in myself. even after scheduling. So please drop your comment in the comment box while I just do a room check to be sure that the link has been shared to others so they can as well join. Okay, just okay, just to ensure that everyone is joining. Okay, okay. Okay. Right. So these are the things with technology, you never know, but no matter what happens, we just keep going forward. Okay, so please, if you can hear me loud and clear, I just need to confirm that I am loud enough. So just write in the comments. Okay. You can hear me. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So we're going to jump into it. Yes, you're welcome to tonight's webinar. A special thanks to everyone. So sorry about the issue earlier on. You know how it is. Sometimes we actually scheduled this live stream to start on schedule, but perhaps because we were so committed to starting on schedule, the powers that be, right, decided that they will affect things and get us rattled. But we're used to things like this. You know, sometimes it happens. I just have to move on. Welcoming you, Jennifer, Amara, everyone. I'm so sorry I cannot name a lot of you, but welcome, welcome. I welcome you to the Public Speaking Essentials for Students and Young Professionals webinar here at Molif Media School. Please, at any time, if you cannot hear me, shout in the comment. I can't hear you. Shout it loud, please, if you cannot hear me at any time, and I'll start shouting. Okay, so my name is Ife Arono. I am a doctor of mass communication, a broadcaster, an event anchor, and a passionate personal development champion. Please, as we move on, keep the comment section active. If there's anything you need to react to, I want to be reading your comments. Anything that links to what I'm saying that is profound, I'll mention it as we proceed. Remember that you can share this link to your friends, loved ones. Let them join us as well as we start. Everyone needs public speaking because it is a life skill. This is one skill that no one else can do for you. It's what you alone can do for yourself. So we'll get to that point where you'll understand what I mean. So first, I hope you're enjoying your weekend. How was the Easter celebration? I hope that you enjoyed your Easter. Please let me know. Just a hint. Give me a highlight about your Easter. What stood out for you during this Easter? You can put it in the comments. Just one thing that you need us to know about the celebration? Was it interesting? Was it fun? Did you meet someone new? And did you meet your better half? Did family members from outside the country come home? Did you meet a cousin you've never seen before? Just let me know in the comments why okay, somebody, Jennifer says I am audible. Why I need you? Oh, yes. Why I'm asking all this is to be sure that you can hear me. So, Batik Betty says Easter was great. You said Easter was great. That you were home all day. Dope. Okay. Don't worry. Next year I might just take you out. All right. So everyone else, just drop in the comments how your Easter went, what stood out for you, and anything else you need us to know. I will be proceeding with letting you know how this session will be. It's going to be super interactive. Like I said, let's keep the comment section very active and busy. If you're going to gain value from this interaction, you must keep commenting and responding as we progress. If I'm too fast at any point, please tell me that I am. If you need me to reduce my pace, please, let me know. So if you are going to get value, you must keep responding as I go ahead so that I know we're together. It's important to me to know that you're with me. Even when I haven't called for reactions, whatever comes to your mind, please write it in the comments. We might even catch deeper insights from you as we interact. So please do not hesitate to drop your insights as we move on. But to guide your participation, I'll be asking lots of questions, and I expect quick, spontaneous, rapid responses so we can move really fast. So please, let's get that in perspective. Whatever I ask, whatever comes to your mind, please just drop it in the comments. So I'm going to give you the talking points for today. I hope that you're here with your notepad, your biro. Yes, to take notes. It's very important because I expect that after this session, you won't just go to bed. I need you to reflect on your learnings today. So we have 6 major talking points, which are 6 subtopics as well. The first is the reality of public speaking today. Then we'll talk about understanding communication, what communication really is. Then we will demystify public speaking tonight, because I feel that one of the challenges we have is that there is this mystery around public speaking, but tonight we're going to demystify it, and then we're going to prepare to speak publicly tonight. And of course, we're also going to work on what we need to know to amplify our voices. That's when the ground will be level enough for me to share with you the public speaking essentials that you need as students and young professionals. So the next thing we're going to do now, so write in the comments, tell us your name, because I'm seeing, some of us have handles, and so what I need you to do, tell us your name and where you're joining us from, perhaps your school, anything we need to know about you, just put it in the comment box. You might just meet someone who you can network with. So anything we need to know about you that will link us or help us understand who you are, please put it in the comments. You can say my name is, and then I am a student of, or I work with this organization. We just need to know that in the comments. And as we move on, I'll read out a few to welcome some of you who are here. So the reality of public speaking is the first thing. Now, public speaking actually opens doors because it gives you the opportunity to speak and be heard by people, not just around you, but people everywhere. Of course, because you never can tell how far it would go. Sometimes when you're speaking in public, it is recorded. It goes further than you thought, right? People will just share it. You have people taking videos of you, perhaps because what you're saying resonates with. So you find that it's a lot that can happen when you speak publicly. So we welcome Jennifer Amara from Mass Communication Department, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Welcome. Agnes is a freelancer, writer, and video editor. You're welcome as well. All right. So now the fact that public speaking opens doors does not mean that people embrace public speaking. And that is why we are here today. We know that this is a good thing. It is a life skill. It can sell you faster than anything else. But why is it that a lot of people dread public speaking? They avoid public speaking. Please write in the comment at least 3 major reasons why there is this widespread phobia for public speaking. A lot of people experience stage fright. Why do you think so? You can just in bullet points mention them quickly as we move on. Why is it that sometimes you find someone who's been given the opportunity and at the last minute the person is saying, please, I cannot do it, let some other person go ahead? Why? What is the problem? So as you articulate your thoughts to contribute, remember we are all doing this together. I want to welcome Kosochwu Arono. She's my cousin, of course, a graduate of Mass Communication Department, UNIZIC. You're welcome, Kosi. I see. Okay. Yes, so tell me, why? Why is public speaking good but not desirable? Why do you think so? So as you think about it and drop it in the comments, I need to know your thoughts, because how I love to share ideas is I like to know what you know, and then perhaps we can agree on a few, and then we can, address a few, straighten others out to be able to arrive at a compromise. So I won't just come here and tell you everything. I also need to know what you think. All right, so we have this one from Bharat Kibeti 16 saying fear of saying the wrong thing, being shy, and lack of confidence. Okay, fear of saying the wrong thing, shyness, lack of confidence are 3 major reasons why people avoid public speaking. So you can also drop yours in the comments as we move on, but at least she's giving us an idea of why. Okay, someone else, Jennifer Amara, says lack of confidence. Okay, you're agreeing with Baraki Betty, and it says nervousness and trying to avoid being laughed at. Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. All right. Okay. Okay, now we have an idea of what you think. Remember that as we move on, you're also required to drop relevant questions in the comments. I don't have to ask for your questions before you drop them. Please just put them in the box. Anything that's not clear, ask me a question. Some of your questions will be answered in the course of the interaction. The ones that are not answered, I will still answer them. Also, feel free to mention the things you are learning. If you catch a remark, an insight, please drop it in the comments. A new idea or insight or affirmation of what you knew before, you can drop it in the comments so that people are still joining us. When they come on board, they can as well see and join the conversation. Rosalind Bennett says fear of the exact word to say. I would like to buttress what you just said, because sometimes it's not quite fear, it's uncertainty, and limited word power, vocabulary range. When you cannot find the words to express your thoughts and you end up saying, that's a problem. So instead of doing that in public, the person will rather stay off and let the opportunity go. So now that we know some of the reasons why many people dread public speaking, I want you to come under the spotlight now. So come under the spotlight. I'm putting the spotlight on you right now. So I'm asking, do you fear public speaking? If you have any challenge, anything that prevents you from public speaking, I want you to take a moment to think about, why do I fear public speaking? And why is it that I am not comfortable? Let me not use fear anymore. Why am I not comfortable and happy with public speaking? Why don't I spring to public speaking opportunities? Why don't I even look out for public speaking opportunities? And when they come, I run. Think about it for a moment and write 2 reasons at least in the comments. I'm not talking about general reasons. For you, it might be just 1 or 2 things. For you, it might even be something that hasn't been mentioned by all the people who have dropped comments. So let us know right now why you haven't gotten comfortable with public speaking so far. Emmy 4040 says he is here for self-development. Welcome, and I believe that you'll find what you're looking for. Kosi Aron says not having the right words, you said to say, okay, right words, fear of probing eyes. We don't prepare enough before mounting the podium. Okay, so these are reasons, but I want you to personalize it. Say, for me, from what I know, from my experience, this and this are my, because if you do not identify the reason why you still have public speaking challenges or concerns, we cannot make progress tonight. I am not in your situation. You know yourself. You know your situation. You know your background. For some people, the reason dates back to primary school. For some, it dates back to the family, the home, from when they were little. For some, it dates back to a presentation in church. For some, it was just something that happened randomly and they got knocked off. Some, it was a debate situation in school that got bungled. So, Rosalind Bernard, everyone here, you need to answer all the questions so that you grow yourself. You're going to have to look inwards today and find out what's really going on and how you can troubleshoot. Rosalind Bernard says, because I may be meeting the audience for the first time. Rosalind, I need you to understand this question. I'm not talking about now. Usually there's something that knocks one out. Because ordinarily, growing up, even as a child, you're supposed to be bold. You know, children are usually, they play around, they play a lot, but by the time you find a child that is shy, something has happened, usually. Okay, so Jennifer says, these are major challenges I do face. Ability to make points concise and simple enough for the audience, lacking proper preparation. Okay, these are the issues you face. All right, so I want you to put it down in your notes because perhaps I think it's something you guys need to sit down and think about. When you were younger, were you good in public speaking? Have you always had this issue of not, how to make things simple for the audience? A lot of people were really bold in primary school when they were little, but something happened somewhere. If you're able to trace how you began to be shy, how you began to run away from speaking situations, that's where the renaissance, the revolution, the transformation begins. Just in case you do not realize it here or you do not remember what it was, if you remember later, through our WhatsApp group, you can still send me a DM and we can discuss that situation. Because if we start addressing this issue without addressing the root cause, we may not make lasting progress. It may not be sustainable. You may just do something pretty, but that's latent because a lot of times it is trauma, usually at childhood. Maybe for some people they were laughed at when they wanted to speak. For some, they were told by a teacher in primary school that they could not do it, that they are dumb. For some, it was because they were stuttering, because some children during childhood, sometimes they'll begin to stammer a little. And before long, a teacher would say something like, this one that stammers, please, she should not be part of this presentation so she doesn't mess it up. The child will hold on to that thing, not even realizing. So a person like that may be here, not understanding that that's the origin of the problem. I tell you why. My first daughter, she's 8 now. I noticed something because at some point she wasn't stammering earlier. She started stammering. And I noticed that the teacher started excusing her from presentations. You know what I did? I started giving her lots of presentations at home. And last December, we launched a cartoon. I sat down here on my table and I produced a cartoon, a children's series. And I told her to voice, she did the voice over for that cartoon. Imagine this is somebody that stammers, right? And teachers excuse her from presentations. But she did that cartoon voiceover. And that cartoon is being watched everywhere around the world now because it's on YouTube. So even when there was something that could have stayed with her for life, the teacher had done some, the way they excuse her, and it's clear that it's because they feel I have validated her at home. So sometimes things happen outside, but nobody validates you at home, and it becomes a problem that you will have to deal with for life. All right, so Jennifer Amara says, I was among the debate team during primary, secondary, and a bold speaker, but sometimes it felt like the audience wasn't understanding me. Okay, back then. Okay, so your worry is with you are worried about the audience, how they feel about your presentation. Okay. And Amy 4040 says, I often worry about communicating effectively so that everyone can understand. Okay, so you worry about communicating effectively. You feel, I am not sure that they are getting me. Thank you very much. It's good that we understand the direction that we have to, because indeed it's about shared meaning, shared understanding. So please keep writing when it occurs to you what you should say regarding your own situation. Please write it in the comments. Let's move quickly. All right, so take a moment. And now, of course, some of us have identified the major public speaking challenges we have, and this is where we officially delve into what we are here for. Before we move on to the public speaking essentials, let's look at what communication really is, because I see that a lot of people are worried about actually communicating, actually being understood. We'll look at communication before we look at public speaking to understand what these basic concepts are. I mentioned earlier that I am a doctor of communication. So tell me in simple terms, very briefly, what you think communication is. Just write it in the comments. What is communication? Tell me what communication is, and then tell me what effective communication is. You can say communication is this, and then effective communication. There's a reason why I mentioned effective communication, because communication can happen, but it may not be effective. That is what some of us are already saying. Emmy and Jennifer, you said you communicate, but you're not quite sure whether it's effective, and that's a worry for you. So you see, so let me know we will need to know the difference between communication and public speaking, and rather an effective communication and effective communication. All right, so who are the takers? Just write in the comments. Let me know what you think. What does it mean to communicate? And what does it mean to communicate effectively? Any takers? At least if I get one or two responses, we can move on from here. Some people who have not mentioned or talked since, please remember that we'll have lots of videos arising from this boot camp. So please make sure that you subscribe to Molif Media School and turn on your notifications so that once we drop updates, some of your questions will have to take them and I'll answer and we'll upload. And then other things that we should know as time goes on. There's a lot to know that we will be sharing freely on this platform. So please do well to subscribe to this channel. Keep watching and then follow updates as well on our WhatsApp group. Promise Chisom says communication is passing a message, but effective communication is when the other person decodes your message. Thank you very much, Promise. Okay, communication, yes, it is. Oh, I have told the person. But effective communication, oh, The person understands, decodes your message. Thank you very much. Jennifer Amara says, I think communication is passing a message to the audience through verbal or very interesting. Yes, verbal or non-verbal means. Okay. Rosalind Bennett says communication is passing down information, while effective communication is a clear and meaningful conversation. When you say passing down, it can also go up, right? Yes, because actually it should be a two-way traffic. Whether, and in most cases it shouldn't even be okay. For sometimes it can go from someone who is a superior down, but usually it's better. How understanding is achieved is when we come to a level. We have to see things at a level, irrespective of our positions. We decide that it has to be vertical. That way we can share understanding, mutual understanding, and that's when communication becomes effective. Okay, Baratik Betty says effective communication isn't just talking, but also being understood, knowing that what you just said is clearly passed to the other person. Thank you very much for your thoughts. So I would say, yes, agreeing with some of what you've shared here, that communication is the process of sending a message from a source to a receiver through a medium. There has to be a medium. Yes, so maybe in the spoken word, it could be written. Yeah, written messages. Sometimes it's digital, sometimes it's physical. Yes, there has to be a medium. And then, of course, we also see that sometimes the source becomes the receiver, because when you talk to the source, to the receiver, when the receiver is now talking back, the source now becomes the receiver. So those are things we learn as communicators. And then communication is effective when the receiver clearly understands the intended meaning. So the receiver has to understand it exactly how I intended it. So a receiver can decode information, but what if he does not decode it in the context? So the context has got to be the same. Very important. It has got to be the same. So we have to come to a level playing ground to say what I meant was what he understood. That's when communication is effective. So we have understood that effective communication is not about speaking big grammar. It's about being clear. It's about being confident about what you're saying, because sometimes it's not just about what you're saying. It's about how confident you are, how people can trust what you're saying because of how you're saying it, or because of who you are, or a blend of both. And it's also about how you connect with the audience and about ensuring that you're understood. You have not communicated until you are understood. I hope that you've taken that. So for any quote, if you catch any quotes, something that just strikes you, you can also put it in the comments. Any quote, any striking thoughts, you have not communicated until you understood. Thank you so much. Emmy said context is very important. Yes. So in context, it has to be in context. Now let's look at two forms of communication, writing versus speaking. Which one is easier to do? Let me know in the comments. Which one is easier to do, writing or speaking? We are here to learn to become public speakers, but I dare tell you that writing is also important. In fact, if you're a good writer, you're likely going to be a great speaker if you train. Okay, so someone says that writing is easier. So what do you think? Just write it. Someone says speaking is easier, in your opinion. All right, so I need to hear random thoughts. Let me know which one is easier, writing or speaking. Rosalind Bennett says writing is easier. Okay. So we now have two writing against one speaking. And I dare say that why we have more people, Yakubu is also saying writing. Why we have more people saying that writing is easier is because writing allows you to edit. It is also more structured. There's less pressure and there is time to think. Conversely, speaking is usually immediate. It entails quick thinking. Remember that speaking is not reading. When you're speaking, usually you may not even have a script. You're just possibly speaking, maybe extemporaneously or spontaneously. So you have to be a quick thinker. You have to be able to analyze the information in your head and come up with something that people can understand in context. Also, speaking requires confidence and body language. You have to use your body well to carry what you're saying. Okay, so I'm seeing some people, so we have more people. Okay, some say speaking is easier, some say writing is easier. Thank you. But personally, I feel that the pendulum swings towards writing as the easier one, because when I write something, I can easily go and make a few changes if there's something that needs to be changed. But when I'm speaking, I may not be able to change it. I'm not consulting anything. But for writing, I can go back, read again, and make some adjustments. All right. While list, okay. But writing involves critical thinking. Okay, yes, both of them require critical thinking. Even speaking requires, if you don't, except if you don't speak to make sense or you're not speaking logically. We're not talking about chatting, because some people may think we're talking about standard speaking that makes impact. Something that is thought-provoking, profound speaking, proper speaking, the likes that you hear from Barack Obama and the likes, that sometimes you listen to the person and it's like they are writing a book just by talking. That's what I mean by speaking. It's not normal chatting, please. So please, let's get that in context. What really is public speaking? So tell me, what is public speaking? Quickly, let's think about it. What is public speaking? All you need to do is to write your thoughts in the comments. Let me know simply in a few words. We are here for Public Speaking Bootcamp, Public Speaking Essentials for Students and Young Professionals. So what is public speaking? At least everyone here, even if you have never checked it, you would have gone to check before coming, because you would have known that it's the main term. So I need to know your thoughts. What is public speaking? This is our subtopic 3, so we have just 3 left to go. Okay. So the problem, I wanted to use my slide, but because I'm reading comments at the same time, using the slide. Okay. All right. So I'll navigate between the slide and the comments. If I need to read comments, I'll come, but then I need you also to be seeing the slides as well. Jennifer Amara says, public speaking is a well-prepared and confident speech delivered to a wide audience. Thank you. To a wide audience. Keep that to a wide audience somewhere. We'll come to that. Rosalind Bernard says, public speaking is the act of sharing information with a given audience. Replace ACT with ART, because it's actually an art, not an, yes, it's an art. It's a form of art. The same way you think of acting is an art. Singing is an art. Dancing is also an art, is a form of art. So why am I strengthening this? These are creative forms of expression. So they are arts, art forms. All right, so now that we've seen, okay, Goodness Asholu says, public speaking is the act of delivering a message or speech to a live audience with the intention of informing, educating, or inspiring them. Emmy 4040 says, I am learning. Okay. Jennifer says, wide. Okay, right. Thank you very much. So now let's find out what public speaking really is. What really is public speaking? Now, it's the structured speaking engagements, like someone said, wide audience, and I said keep that somewhere, because it's usually this wide audience, lots of people, where you have a physical audience that is widely regarded as public speaking, sometimes even virtual, but the idea is people think it's got to be a large crowd. There's also the sheer weight of when you hear your name over the microphone, accompanied by a picture, title, designation displayed on the screen, people shouting, applause everywhere. That's what people see as public speaking. But here at Moorleaf Media School, we understand that whether you're talking in a family meeting, class meeting, a class presentation, team meeting, or presenting in front of an audience, big or small, you are a public speaker, and what you're practicing is public speaking. Public speaking is not just about being on big stages. It's the art. Please take this, very important. It's the art of expressing ideas clearly, confidently, and effectively to a large or small audience in meetings, classrooms, events. It entails speaking in a way that people understand, a way that they understand, a way that they can listen and respond to you. So the idea is, for public speaking to happen, you're not speaking to people, you're not talking at them, you're talking with them, because they are able to listen to you, understand you, and respond to you. That is what public speaking is all about. All right. So I hope that you've taken that. Please internalize that. It's very important to note that. As we move on to item number 4, I'll just take a look at the comments. Okay, so yes, it's an art. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm a bit fast. Okay, thank you very much. Don't mind me. All right, so I'm just going to be I teach people, I always insist that people must be deliberate. So let me be deliberate now. What it means to be deliberate while speaking is to pace your speech, to have an understanding that the people who are listening to you, asking yourself, I'm speaking into African ears, not American ears. African ears are trained to listen to our local languages. Our local languages are not fast, they are heavy. So when speaking the English language, we should be more deliberate so that our people can understand. That's very important. That's why I mentioned, please, if I'm too fast, call me back. So thank you so much, Kosi, for mentioning. Now, preparing to speak publicly. This is very important. Pay very close attention and please write. I'll ask you a question now. Get ready. Because before we learn how to speak better by mastering effective public speaking, we need to understand. I'll ask you 2 questions now. Who are you? Who are you? And the second question is, why does your voice matter? Why does your voice matter? Why? You said you're here to learn public speaking. Yeah, that's why a lot of you said, okay, it was Emmy 4040 that said I'm here to learn. I'm sure that a lot of us here are also here to learn. I'm asking, who are you? And why do you think it is necessary to learn public speaking so that people can hear your voice? Why is that necessary? I'm going to guide you on how to respond to this important question. In answering this question, you're meant to tell us your name, what you do. If you're a student, you tell us you're a student of so-so, perhaps your level, and then you're going to briefly reflect on what you represent. What you represent in terms of the social impact that you are making or intend to make in the world. I am going to give you mine to guide you because we don't have that much time. My name is Dr. Ife Arono. I am an academic, an events anchor, and a media expert. I promote youth and women's development through broadcasting, communication skills development, and capacity building. That's me in just 2 sentences. So, what I've done is to tell you my name, my career in the sense that I am an academic. Yes, I'm starting to teach. And then I'm an event anchor and a broadcaster. I didn't mention broadcaster earlier. Okay, I said media expert. That covers broadcasting and other things that I do. Then, for what I represent, I said I promote youth and women's development. And I told you how I do that through broadcasting, because in communicating on radio and on television, I push this agenda that youth have to get better, women have to. And then communication skills development, which is what I'm doing right now. This free webinar, I am arming you with communication skills because I believe that communication skills are critical for your overall development as a person. So I am also enhancing capacity building by what I'm doing. So you see, this is me. So let me know who you are and what you represent. I hope 1 or 2 persons have written theirs so I can read. Okay, people are thinking, I guess, because I haven't seen any. Okay, so let me know. I'll give you a moment because you need to know why your voice matters and why it's important for you. Whatever you write, these 2 sentences that you're writing, keep it somewhere. It's very important. Make it your elevator pitch that if somebody meets you and says, some people will say, can I meet you? You say, oh, I am Dr. Ife Arono, an academic, this, that. I promote. So in 2 sentences, the person already knows everything about you. Everything, you made it as concise. There might be other things, but these are the major things that I need people to know about me. I think you're still on it. This is very important. So I'll give you some more time. Because by the time you know this, it's easier for you to begin to build your public speaking ability. Because now you know what you're about. Public speaking is not just speaking English. It's about impacting values, about social impact. So that whenever you speak with authority. By the time you're able to build a voice that is authoritative, naturally people will listen to you. People will begin to understand you better because they know what you stand for. But when you do not understand what you're about, you're just talking. You're not yet speaking. I believe I'm making sense. All right. Okay, so as you work on your 2 sentences, I really wanted to see your sentences before we move on because I wanted also to be sure that you know who you are. It's very important to me to know that you actually know who you are and why your voice matters. I'll share mine again. My name is Dr. Ife Arono, an academic, an event anchor, and a media expert. I mentioned 3 major things that I do. Then I said I promote youth and women's development through broadcasting, communication skills development, and capacity building. For you, it could be that you promote women's health, through health promotion initiatives, sensitization programs, something like that. It could be. All right, so I believe that you now know who you are and why your voice matters. The next thing I'm going to ask is based on who you are. Okay, so let me read this one. My name is Ize Hafizat Yakubu. I'm a student and a graphics designer. I speak to people. So Hafizat, thank you so much for this. You're going to have to find out. Okay, I'll say this. Being a graphics designer and a student, sometimes the cause you support or what would help you build a strong public speaking personality can even be hidden in the course you're studying as a student. So if you had told me something about, say, I'm a student of computer science and a graphics designer, that kind of thing, I promote digital skills acquisition among students for early professional development, that kind of thing. It gives me an idea of the line or the pathway, the public speaking pathway that you might toe. It guides you, it focuses you from now. So think in that light. If you're studying agriculture and it's something you're really passionate about, you have to begin to chart your public speaking course along that path. By the time you're done with school, you will find that you're more versed because it is what you have passion for. You are paying a lot of attention to it. You're reading up, you're understanding the terms, the practices, the evolution. By the time you're coming out of school, this is something you naturally discuss. You can wake up in the midnight and discuss agricultural innovation. It becomes your social impact pathway. So that's what I need you guys to discover tonight. Okay. All right. So Rosalind Bennett says, my name is Rosalind Augustine. I am an executive virtual assistant. I'm passionate about sales and customer support service. I promote this service and have an interest in understanding clients' needs. Okay, you have an interest in understanding clients' need. Thank you so very much for that. So in line with what I was saying to Hafizat, I need you to now tell me, now that you know who you are, for some of you that have, please, everyone else, keep dropping yours. Ume promised Chisom. Okay, Amy 4040 said I skipped your intro. Apologies, I just speak a few messages and I move on to other things. Ume promised Chisom, founder of Promising Confectionery, environmentalist and a brand strategist. I help businesses tell their stories sustainably. Interesting. So even by stating all this, you might even get clients on this chart. All right. Okay. Chekuba Aron, okay, you're still talking about communication remember, communication is an art, please. Yes, it's an art, A-R-T, effective communication. Okay, thank you. Jennifer Amara, a student of mass communication and a communication broadcast. Okay, yeah, all right. So we have seen what some of us have said about who they are and why their voices matter. Now I'm going to ask you a question. In fact, maybe I can make it 2 questions even, but maybe let's see what's on this next slide. Okay, now this is I told you about, so you can just take a look at what I had to say about myself briefly. So take a look at that and then couch yours around this, your career and what you represent, the causes that you support and you promote. Very important. Then the next one, tell us, based on what you have told me about who you are and why your voice matters, how far do you want your voice to go in promoting the causes you support? How far do you want your voice to go? Let me go back to the chart and take a look at a few persons. There's something I need to do now that's I didn't plan to do this, but let me analyze Rosalind is an executive virtual assistant. Rosalind, have you thought about being a sales and customer support service executive? Is there a global goal, or is there something, a social impact objective or initiative that you can tie your work to? It's very important. Because beyond our work, I realized something. We will never be complete until we're doing something to promote humanity in some way. So you must tie your work as an executive virtual assistant, to a cause, a social cause that will prompt your inner being to spring out. So you have to think about it. Maybe it's not, so many people are different things. So perhaps you might find that there is something about you that links to a social impact, something that you have deep passion for that can help humanity. Also, that goes for Hafizak Yakubu. Promise Chisom, Promising Confectionery, and this is about, perhaps you can even link yours to okay, what I'm trying to do is to link you guys, where I'm looking at how what you're doing or how what you represent links up to the Sustainable Development Goals. Because in some way there has to be a human need that you have a solution to as a human being. A human need that when you're called upon, you can talk about it. Promise, is it that you can talk about how through, okay, you're a confectioner and an environmentalist, so this is very important. So you can now begin to talk about environmental matters, and how it links to maybe safe food, or how that, I don't know if you're going to talk about junks, because junks are not good. Junk food is not good. So, but there has to be something. Maybe your being an environmentalist is something you can push. You talked about telling stories sustainably. So this tells me that you're already someone who thinks in terms of the SDGs. So the first question I'm asking is, how far do you want your voice to go in promoting the causes you support? Someone has said that they want their voices to go, their voice to go global, that you want to be a global voice. And then somebody, it depends. Do you want to be at the family level? Do you want your voice to end up at the community level? Or do you want it to get to the state level or national? But someone has already told us that you want to be a global voice.
Me.
Yes, I'm in class. All right, so let me know in the comments. Global, Emmy says global. And then Hafiza says global. Okay. Nobody wants national state. All right. So because everybody is talking about global, that's why it's necessary. I talked about making sure that what you represent ties to a global need, because that gives you a sense of purpose to your quest to deliver. It gives a sense of purpose to your quest to develop effective public speaking skills. I tell you what, public speaking is a life skill, because that's one area that you can hardly delegate. Think about it as a business owner. Imagine Dangote. He has lots of people. He hires speakers, public relations people, everyone from around the world. He can pay anything, to get anyone on his team. But do you think that there's anybody who understands the vision of Dangote Group more than him? That is why when it is time to speak, maybe at important TED events, or, I don't know if he's spoken at a TED, don't mind me, at top programs, you will still find that no matter who he sends to represent him, people won't quite feel the impact unless they see Dangote on stage. So now you see that public speaking is not something you can delegate. You have to be the one to do it. So that's why it's necessary for you to build your public speaking ability right now. because you can hardly delegate that. And remember, speaking is so deep. When somebody who is a speaker speaks, even if the person does not quite have all the right words, the soul is speaking. And that is when people begin to understand, because they can even feel there's this emotion that comes with effective speaking. When a speaker truly understands and tries to communicate value or meaning, it is so deep. Now, I'll take a look at the comments briefly. Everybody is saying global. Okay, so I've seen what's on in the comments. Everybody is saying they want to go global. All right. Okay, remember you can drop questions at any point. I'll get to them and respond. We are moving now to something striking. That's I think number 5. But I'll run through this. If your desire is to build a global voice, you need to link the cause you promote, as stated in your brief bio, to any of the 17 SDGs without leaving this live stream. If you can do that now, based on what you have said you represent, maybe environment, can you say, oh, I am promoting this SDG this? Can you say that? For someone who is thinking of women matters, you're promoting SDG 5. You're promoting SDG 5. That is women, the one that addresses women matters, right? Of course, gender equality, SDG 5. But I think we're going to have a separate webinar to help you to chart your global cause. For those who want to go global, you come up with that 2 sentences briefly describing what you do, and we'll begin to structure it, and then you will find a path, something that you wake up every day to study about and build your voice. In due course, we'll reconvene and will help you link your voice to global conversations and begin to develop a global presence. Now that you've indicated that you desire to amplify your voice to advance the causes that you identified in your brief bio, we're going to proceed with number 5. We have just 2 points left. We are almost rounding off. Remember, you can drop your questions here. Okay, so just a brief look at the... Okay, Kosia Ronu said, I want my voice to be heard globally because that's what frightens me a lot. Well, okay, yes. For your voice to be heard globally, yeah, it's larger than life. But that does not mean that it shouldn't frighten you, because by the time you get there, it will feel natural. All these people you hear, on global platforms, they're prepared for it, so it won't just happen overnight. You'll be ready by that time. Number 5, how to amplify your voice and speak confidently anywhere. Sometimes you find someone who hardly speaks proper English, but very confident, standing and speaking before crowds. The person can even address governors and presidents. Of course, I'm not saying that that's the standard. I don't expect you to be rash, just because you're confident. But just so you know that the mind plays a huge role. The mind plays a huge role here. If you're going to become great at public speaking, it starts in your mind. If you're going to be great at public speaking, it starts where? In your mind. Take note of that. And I can also tell you that many have shared. Some people have shared with me how their voices change depending on the room they enter. I shared a few posts before today. In casual settings, they are relaxed and chatty, but when it's a proper gathering of influential voices, they shrink. Now, the typical scenario is that they are quiet in academic settings, maybe classrooms, but loud and expressive when they are with friends. They are also silent in formal environments where value is being passed. So what do you think is really going on? Is it a lack of intelligence or is it a lack of skill? Most times I tell you, I figured that it's actually psychological. It's what I would call identity conflict. Because if you haven't fully decided who you are as a speaker, if you don't understand who you are and what you represent, that uncertainty shows up as shrinking self-esteem or complete withdrawal, depending on who is watching. That's why it is crucial to tie your quest for public speaking excellence to something you are passionate about. Because you have to be talking about something important. When we talk about public speaking, please, we're not here to learn how to chat and how to, gist. We're here to talk about how to make sense, how to communicate value that impacts. That's why you have to tie to something that matters, something that has value. In doing this, you're able to do research. For instance, for someone like me, I've found that my path is youth development, women's development, teaching them communication skills, helping them access capacity building opportunities. And when I'm on air, when I'm doing trainings, that's essentially what I'm doing. So it helps me when I'm doing research, when I'm reading and following conversations. I know exactly what to prioritize, what is important to me based on the kind of impact that I want to make. So everything around those subjects, you will find me, learning about them. Because I want to become an expert, I want to be respected in those areas. So if you've started doing this, if you've recognized where you want to strengthen your voice, what area of life you want to be known for, that in the end people will say, oh, Kosi, she made an impact in this area. Oh, Emmy 4040, he was known for this. Think about it. What aspect of life, in what aspect of life do you want to make impact? Because that's what we're going to anchor your public speaking journey on. As you write that in the comments, please put it in the comments. What aspect of life have you, something you have passion for? Even if I don't do anything in this life, this is something I'm absolutely going to do. You tell yourself that I want women to do this. I want young people. I want the environment to be a better. What do you want to anchor your public speaking on? Secondly, we're going to talk about the psychological process around that affects public speaking. The inner voice you hear controls your outer voice. Today we are tackling the foundation, because without a firm foundation, you cannot do proper public speaking. It has to be a firm foundation. It has to be a firm foundation. The inner voice you hear controls your outer voice. You cannot sound confident if you don't think confidently. In fact, you will rarely speak with confidence externally if you're doubting yourself internally. And that is why it's important to find something to anchor your public speaking journey on, something remarkable, something that makes sense, something that, there's this woman, she died on Easter Sunday. Her name is Yinka Ogunde. I've been reading a lot. I've had to write a few things for a great woman I work for regarding this woman. And everybody is talking about how that this woman transformed the Nigerian education sector in certain ways, especially private school system, even public school. She made an impact. And that is SDG 4. So if you're able to find where you're making wonderful impact, an area of need, then you can begin to recalibrate what's going on in your mind. Because if you're doubting yourself internally, if you're not quite sure, if you're vacillating, I'm not so sure, you cannot make progress. Some of us identified personal reasons for public speaking phobia earlier, even personally. It's time to leave that place of phobia, that place of fear, and finally begin to enjoy speaking. If you're ready to finally begin to enjoy public speaking, I want you to indicate that you're ready in the comments. Indicate that you're ready. If you're really ready, please indicate. Someone says they want to go national first. Of course, it's a process from national to international. Okay, someone says I have a passion for fashion. and styling. Okay, you really need to anchor that. Find something. Yes, it's fashion. You can decide to anchor it on something that the world needs to benefit from. For some people, they do fashion in a way that promotes nature. You can decide that you're a nature promoter, you promote nature, you use local stuff, your designs. There's always this. For some people, they promote local fabrics, they celebrate it. Even when they are making English wear, they always, that kind of thing. You really have to think about something that when you come out with it, everybody wants to listen because of how unique and how passionate you are about it. All right, so I said, are you ready? Okay, so Rosalind Bernard, Asholu Yakubu. All right, so now we're going to take 2 quick steps now that you're ready. Because now you're about to leave that place of speaking phobia, concerns, where you're challenged and all. I need you to go back in time, revisit a moment when you weren't quite confident. For instance, I was talking about how people develop the fear of public speaking from a young age. If you've identified the first time that ever happened, you need to revisit that moment. Do you remember the place and what really happened? Because that awareness is going to help you a lot. If you are aware of what happened, you can reduce the power and impact of that in your life. Remember it, or you can even remember a typical situation that hurt you a lot. When during public speaking, something went wrong and you felt so bad, you could not forgive it. Remember that moment. And once you remember that moment, the next thing you're going to do is to decide to leave that place. Because you're no longer that child that was ridiculed or scorned. Things have changed. You have to decide to leave that place. This is a new you. It is a new room. You are a new person. You have decided just by being here tonight that you want your public speaking game to change. So take a moment and go back to that place and make a decision. Say, I am no longer that person that was unsure. I am no longer that person that was uncertain. I'm no longer that person that could not find the right words. You're going to have to say these things. I hope you're in a place where you can actually speak. This is a new me. This is a new era. As I step into new rooms, I meet new opportunities because I approach things from a new lens. You're not going to let an old experience control your new beginning that starts from this night. So have you visited the place and have you said the things you needed to say? Have you exited that sport? And are you moving on to higher things? It is your decision. And as you exit that place, I'm going to give you point number 6, public speaking essentials for you. Before I say that, I need you to know that during this interaction, there's been a lot of distractions around me. My kids are, I ask them to stay, but when you ask children to stay, that's when they come. But I need to focus on what I'm doing. It's distracting. But when you master the art of public speaking, no matter how distracting it gets, you just focus. You focus on what you're doing and you get there. Sometimes you're speaking in the hall, people begin to shout around. The idea is this is public speaking. I am speaking and I have to finish this. What you're doing is to ensure that people keep listening to you and continue. Sometimes the organizers are not organized. And the speaker is on stage. A lot of things are going on around you. You won't keep saying, oh, you people should not do, people shouting. You won't keep saying that. You won't even get angry. One thing I never do Whenever I'm on stage, whenever I'm speaking, I maintain a pleasant attitude, because the moment you lose your cool, that speaking opportunity is gone. You've messed it up by yourself. So no matter what goes on around you, so long as you're doing public speaking, remind yourself, I'm going to be happy throughout this. I am never going to be angry. I'm never going to lose my cool, because you're the pilot and you're the sailor at that time. You are the anchor at that time. You cannot afford to let things get to you. That is very important, a rule of thumb. All right, so someone says, Rosalind Bennett says, yes, I'm here and I'm moving on. So I believe that everyone else is moving on. The public speaking essentials I need to tell you about. The major one, the overriding one is, let's go to the slide now. All right. The major public speaking essential for you is intentional, purposeful, and progressive personal development. Ignore that. I see there is an error there, purposefully. Intentional, purposeful, and progressive personal development. That is the major public speaking essential that you need. I know that this is probably not the first time you're hearing about personal development, but most times you're left to find out for yourself the way. You're left to find the way without much direction. People tell you, oh, do this, do that, do that. Oh, you need to read, you need to study, you need to do research, but no one actually holds your hand. So what I'm here to do tonight is to shine a light on your path and tell you exactly what you need to start doing now. I'm also going to tell you where to start from and how to proceed. So if you're ready, like we're ready, let me know if you're ready to know two things. I call them the two C's. The two C's for anyone who really wants to achieve greatness, for anyone who wants to stand on the highest stages, speak and people listen to you and make impact. I'm going to give you these two C's, things you need for a lifetime to build a spectacular public speaking personality. Growing up, I didn't have access to the first thing, but I went to school to learn the basics of the second C. The first C, I will tell you, is that without a community that helps you build your personal brand, your public speaking personality, you may not quite get there as fast as you should. Now, you need to gradually rebuild, or enhance your self-confidence. You need to actively join a progressive personal development community. Here at Molif Community, we have Molif Media School and Molif Reading Club. These are two arms that we are leveraging for public speaking development. In 2020, from 2020 to 2023, 2024, we offered public speaking trainings online. But I found out something. I found out that there was something missing. People didn't quite have the foundation to fly. I would teach them phonics. They'll speak better. Of course, the grammar will be better. But what about the ideas that they needed? What about the word power, the vocabulary? I came up with lots of strategies to help them. I came up with a vocabulary chart. I did a lot of things, to the extent that I even wrote a book. That's how serious I was about, helping people do public speaking. But something was missing. And that was how I began to think. I created Molif Community with the objective of helping youth and women optimize their potentials through effective communication skills development. And in 2025, something remarkable happened in April. We're in April 2026, right? Last year, at about this time, I thought about it and I it came to my mind, I think it was by divine inspiration, that if you do not have a reading community, now that reading culture has declined, if you do not help people read, if you do not structure how they read and help them, you are not going to make any progress as a public speaking coach. And that was how we formed More Leaf Reading Club. Over the years, this is what has happened to members of More Leaf community. These people wake up daily to enrich their minds with ideas from books, because for each month or maybe every 2 months, we'll have to read a book, at least one book. And we read daily. Every day you wake up, you must read at least 5 pages. You devote about 30 minutes to reading that part of the book. So for each day, you already know the pages of the book that you're supposed to read. Everybody is reading at the same time. And then they don't just read and go. They practice reflections. While reading, what we do is to pause and briefly reflect on the insight we are getting, how that book is impacting us. We do it in writing and speaking. Because when we've read, say, 5 pages, I'll then write something, how this book is speaking to my life. I'll just write it maybe in 2 sentences or in 2 paragraphs or 3. And I'm not just writing it for myself, I'm sharing it with the community. If I am a reviewer, if I'm a guide, I will share it and it will be shared to the community. So I've had people reach me privately and say, I want to be a reviewer, and they have joined. So every day they have to read, and then of course there are days when the reviewer is not reviewing. So we have days of the week, there's somebody to turn in reviews on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and so on. So that is what we do. And then we discover and enhance our powerful voices at More Leaf Media School, because every day as well on More Leaf Media School, we share ideas on how people can improve their spoken English. Then these people, some of them who have been able to take some of our courses, like the Think Possible for Powerful Public Speaking, you find them going out to look for public speaking opportunities. We are no longer waiting for public speaking opportunities to come to us. We are now going to look out for public speaking opportunities because we are learning a lot. And that is because we are gaining ideas. We are gaining, the more we read books, the more our vocabulary is improving. Sometimes we are using words we didn't quite know we knew because we had read books where those words appeared. Sometimes a lot of things. These people can now speak boldly. We find that there's this thing we do. Every month we have a review session where we talk about the book we're reading, and everybody gets to speak. You find people who naturally weren't speaking before, they're able to talk about what they've learned from the book and how their lives are changing. And then for some of our paid courses, we find that our members, when they want to take paid courses, they get membership discounts to be able to take our courses. Like we have the Polish Up course that lets people polish up their spoken English and speak, because English is a light language. You don't speak it heavily. You have to make your voice, your tongue light to be able to speak English. So there's a way we teach Polish Up such that the person grows. Is self-paced. You just learn English at your own pace, and with time, because you're a member of the community, you progress and you get better. So if you begin to do this, if you join More Leaf community, you're going to get better. You build your mind, you fine-tune your thought processes, and express clearer thoughts consistently. Your inner voice then begins to recognize your new reality and speak to you accordingly. It's no longer when you want to speak and you say, I don't know anything about this. You'll find that you actually know a lot about the things you want to talk about, and you begin to speak accordingly. Remember, daily reading is important if you're serious about becoming a fantastic public speaker. And of course, More Leaf Reading Club is the place for you to get books. You don't have to buy books. There are lots of free books on the internet. We leverage a lot of motivational books, self-help, personal development books. We get them, and then we ensure that everyone gets a copy. All they need to they download it from the group and then read. There's a reading guide that will be prepared, shared, and you start reading. Then writing brief reviews of the insights gained from the book and reflecting on the insights gained. Then you can also take courses at Molif Media School. And there's something else. When you keep interacting with people who are developing themselves, you'll find that even in your environment, sometimes when you speak, people think, oh, are you forming? Are you sounding phony? Is this, oh, you're trying to show us that you can speak grammar? Then you have an online community where everyone is getting better, everyone is developing themselves, everyone wants to speak better. And you're being told, of course, you have to be as natural as possible. We don't train people to speak artificially. We bring out the best in you naturally. So that is the first step. You have to be part of a community, because public speaking is not something you develop right now. You cannot develop the ability overnight. It's a gradual process, but you have to start from somewhere. Be part of a community that is progressive. Then you have to communicate. When you have started, you started reading, you've started interacting, you've started doing your reviews. Sometimes beyond doing written reviews, you can even do voiceovers. You can voice the review and sending. Then you can start speaking small, speaking safe. You don't need a big stage first. Speaking in small groups, maybe from the online one. When of course we come for meetings, we encourage people, go every day you go out, try and speak somewhere, then come back and tell us how it went. So there are things we do. We encourage you, we root for you, and then you go out there and practice some of the things you're learning. Then you can share your thoughts with trusted people. Sometimes there are questions that we'll ask during our review sessions. We'll even guide you on how to answer questions. For instance, if you're in a meeting or if they ask you to contribute to a conversation, okay, so who has a question? Of course, when you stand up, you don't just rush to answer. First, the first thing you say is your name and who you are. Okay, just your name and what you do. Perhaps I'm a student, the same way you introduced yourself earlier. And then you can say, my contribution to the conversation is. When you're done, you say, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute. And you're all good. When you want to contribute to conversations, remember, you have to think of what you want to say. Sometimes you can decide, I want to make 2 contributions. The first one will be, perhaps if they're talking about how to make progress in your hostel, also to get leadership, you can say, okay, fine. So the first thing we're going to do is we can conduct an election, to get people who will. And the second thing we're going to do is that we're going to begin to have meetings, weekly meetings here at the hostel too. So you have to have a structure that lets people understand. For those who were saying that it's hard for people to understand them when they are speaking, when your speaking is not structured, people will not understand you. For everything I've been saying here, I told you that it's 6 points. I have just 6 points, and I've just been talking about those 6 points from one to the end. This is already the last one. Your speaking has to be structured. With a structure, people can follow your thought process and understand you. So now, having joined a community, you begin to speak in smaller groups, record, and when you speak, please record your speaking sessions and interact, or rather interactions. You record and assess them later. You can send to someone, you can send to the community, you can say, oh, we had this meeting in school, we had this team presentation, and this is the recording of my contribution. Please, what do you think I should do better? We will assess and tell you, oh, fine, see what happened. I can even ask you, how did you feel? Were you comfortable doing the presentation and all? So that's one thing you should. And if you're not part of a community, nobody will actually take that time to look at what you're doing. Also, if you take a public speaking course and there is no community around it, a community that is active, you might lose the things you learn, because public speaking is something you have to sustain it so that you get better. It's not a one-off. You have to keep doing. All right. So when you observe these public speaking essentials, intentional, purposeful, meaningful public speaking skills development in two ways: community and communication. Community is the first thing we are doing, and you're already part of. What you need to do now is, when we get back to the community on WhatsApp, you're going to make sure that you're part of Molif Media School and Molif Reading Club. We'll share the book. We'll share the book that we are reading presently so that you can catch up. We've already read up to 50 pages of the book, Developing the Leader Within You by John C. Maxwell. But you can start reading with us. Of course, students are, almost everyone is still, the holidays are still, so you can catch up to an extent. All right. So when you observe these essentials, you'll be able to maximize speaking opportunities, get into conversations, and express your thoughts with clarity, conviction, and excellence. So these are the things you need to start doing now. When you start doing them, your thoughts will be more structured and your thinking process will work better. We are in a country where the education system does not quite teach us how to think, but you find that to communicate well, your mind has to be logical. You have to be able to process thoughts quickly. And that is what reading and writing reviews can do for you, because then you're processing thoughts by people who have written profound ideas. So by the time you begin to do that and share it, we begin to get, but I've found people who came in as guides. When they came in, it was just there. I'll review their content and post. But with time, you find that that person is getting better. Sometimes I'll find I don't have to do anything on the reviews they've written, because they've done it consistently and seen the corrections. And these are things that it's not paid, it's free. All you need to do is to be willing to develop yourself. Come in daily, read. When is your day for review? You do, and then you get better. So I hope that you've been able to learn the pathway forward, and that you're going to make the commitment. Give yourself time. You can join Molif Media School and Molif Reading Club and tell yourself, let me see what will happen to me or my life in the next 3 months. Let me join this present reading and see if I become better over time. Let me take this course. Let me take this one that they're talking about, to polish up my speech. Let me take it and see what will happen. So I want to know what you have learned, what pathway. Tell me in the comments the things you're going to start doing today to enhance your public speaking ability from the foundation. What are the foundational things you're going to begin to do from today? Let me know in the comments as we round off. What do you need to do now? How do you strengthen your foundation? How do you strengthen it to ensure that you become the public speaker that you've always wanted to be? Tell me in the comments, and I look forward to celebrating your progress as you unlock your powerful voice in due course. We'll be here to support your growth and progress all the way. Tell me in the comments, what will you do next? How will you proceed to strengthen your public speaking ability? What will you do next? Are you willing to be part of this community and grow? Are you willing? Yes, of course. Reading out loud. When you're with your book, the books that we read, the present one we are reading, I've encouraged our members, at some point, after reading passively for a while, read it out loud. By the time you're learning pronunciation at Molif Media School, and you begin to infuse some of those things you're learning, even the things you're learning for free, you begin to infuse them. If you voice out loud often, almost on a daily basis, and you're fine-tuning your spoken English, you will find that a lot will change about you in due course. All you need to do is to decide to be an active member of the community and follow the process. Public speaking will not happen overnight for you. There is a process. I am who I am today and I'm getting better. Yes, because I have been in this process for long. Okay, Promise Chisom says, I miss speaking to my camera or audios. I want to start speaking to my camera or audios alongside writing. Yes, yes, you have to do a lot of speaking. But what I'm saying is, when you're part of the community, it will be guided. Every day you wake up, you're sure that, yes, I must read 5 pages and then I must write a review. It helps you to be structured. And with time, you will get better. So for attending this free webinar tonight, I want to thank you. And I believe that we will continue this progress. We'll continue making progress as we continue our reading, continue learning at Molev Media School. We'll have lots of videos coming. We'll be learning pronunciation of words, because when you know pronunciations and you begin to use them when you're speaking, it makes a lot of sense. You will begin to see transformation. You will begin to see change in how you speak, and it will strengthen your conviction. The ideas you gain from books will also help you to know that people need to hear your voice. There are things you know. There's a level of understanding you'll attain, and nothing will stop you. You really want to talk to people. You know, I cannot keep this to myself. I need to say it out loud. So thank you so much for attending. I believe you can put down what you have learned today in the comments. This webinar is not the last. We have lots of other webinars we are building. This is the foundation. Next time, we are going to go more into the practical aspects of what you can do. But this one, we are trying to condition your mind. We are trying to condition your speaking for you to know it has to be purposeful. Now, like I said, there's something that we need to tell you because you are here for this webinar tonight. We have a course that is coming up and you need to know about it to get prior notice. It's called First Class Thinking. First Class Thinking is coming. And this course that we've started today, this conversation that we have started today is a prelude to First Class Thinking, because we're raising people who are excellent in thinking. So exactly 6 weeks from now, we'll be launching First Class Thinking course for students. The backstory is that I graduated as the first class honors graduate of the Department of Mass Communication, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, with a CGPA of 4.65 in 2013. So I am set to share strategies that helped me break that jinx in my department. And this course is my gift to the students, of course. It's a form of gift, yeah, even though they will exchange a little value for it. Because from May 1st to 3rd, we will be having the first flash sales for First Class Thinking. So we'll give you all the details about this for people who want to make a first class or be excellent academically. This is a course you have to take seriously. It comes in 2 parts. One will address the academic aspects of things. You know, what you need to do, the strategies that I used to read and make a first class. Even though I was not an art student, I was a science student in secondary school. But when I entered the arts, I still made a first class. So it's something that you don't want to miss as a student. So please keep listening, keep tabs with us on WhatsApp. Save the date. We'll have the course will launch for the first time from the 1st to the 3rd of May. We'll give you further details on that. And for now, get active on Molev Media School and Molev Reading Club and unleash the powerful public speaker that you are. I want to thank you so much for. Let me run through the remaining slides. Okay, so this is for First Class Thinking. Yes. Okay, so that's it. I want to thank you very much for being here today. So I look forward to reading with you, interacting with you during our book review at the end of the month, the sessions we're going to have. I want to interact with you. And when you're able to, you can take the Polish Up course to refine how you speak. By that time, when you're now reading, you already have lots of ideas from books. It will make a lot of sense. It will be smoother. Thank you so very much for participating. I look forward to, let's get back into the group. If there are things, questions you need to ask, I'll give a few moments, if maybe 5 minutes more. You can drop your questions here. I will respond to your questions, and you get your responses in due course. If there are targeted things, we have talked about the psychology of public speaking today. If there are other things you need me to talk about regarding that, we'll get into the practice in due course. The practice, how you can show up, maybe in class, what you need to do, how you can structure your thoughts and all. We'll get into that. But we need your mind to be ready. And this part of the course of the training has helped us achieve that. Okay, so thank you so much. Rosalind Bernard says she's so glad you didn't miss this. Thank you. So Rosalind, go ahead and join us on the community group. We'll share the link for you to join us and start reading. Hafizak Jakubu says thank you very much. Everyone, thank you so much. And we look forward to greater things together. The next time we'll delve into the practice. Come ready. You can even put down questions about practice, because once the next webinar is up, you will learn more about structuring thoughts and all. And by then, because you've started reading, it's easier for you to grasp the things I will share. It will not be rocket, because then your mind would have started working better. You'll be processing thoughts faster, synthesizing ideas better, because you have started reading daily. Very important. Thank you so much. I wish you a beautiful night rest. I'll leave the live stream on for a while. If there are things you need to add, please put them in the comments, questions and all, and your reactions to the training. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a beautiful night.